is Lindy.
And I'm Russell.
From Love Create Celebrate, where we share all of our DIY and home renovation videos.
And today we decided to see how many people we can put in our new ensuite. And we started with Lindy and myself.
Two is the max. Today we're in our bathroom showing our floating shelves. If you have not subscribed to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on videos to help you love, create, and celebrate your home. These floating shelves, we've made them this way a couple of times. Yeah. It's super easy to do, and
we've got asked a couple of times about it, so we're like, oh, why not show it? So.
It's pretty easy to do even if you're a beginner woodworker. You can customize it for any stain color you want in any space you want.
And it gives you that cool custom built-in look. This design, you do need to have 3 walls to work off just based on the bracing system.
And if you want to know how to do a floating shelf that doesn't require 3 walls, it's just floating on a wall, we also have a tutorial for that using plywood that I will link up top for you. This is where we were in the bathroom renovation when we started building our floating shelves. So we had the drywall on all 3 walls of that nook, and we were able to take measurements both at the wall and about 10 inches out so that we knew how much space we had to work with. We took that measurement of the approximate length that our shelves would be and then added a couple inches to it so that we'd have a little bit of extra space to work with on both sides of the shelf. We're cutting our shelves out of 3/4 inch plywood, and we knew that we wanted the shelves to be 8 inches deep, so we've already cut that measurement and now we're cutting them to length. Our shelves were going to be about 30 inches wide, and we added a couple inches to that and cut them at about 34 inches each. Then we cut 9 of those 34-inch boards because we needed 1 board for the top, 1 for the front, and 1 for the bottom of each shelf, and we were making 3 shelves. Next, we had to cut the width of the front board for our shelves, and this width is very important because it's what makes your shelves look really custom. And what we did is cut ours to the same width as 3 of the plywood boards stacked together. 1 being the top piece, 1 being the bottom piece, and the other board being the piece that will be sitting on the wall that you will slide into. Next, we have to cut our miters on the edges of all of these boards. Since we want a really perfect 45 degrees, we are using our digital angle gauge, and we just zeroed it on the table and then attached it to the side of the saw so that we can see exactly when it gets to 45 degrees. Once we had the right angle, we set the width on the table saw so that the blade would meet up with the corner on one side, and we cut a nice miter off of one side of each of the top and bottom boards. Next, we cut the same miter on the long sides of all 3 of our front-facing boards. And make sure you cut both of those miters so that you keep the full width on one side of that board. When all of your cuts are done, they should line up nicely with 1 piece of plywood in between to hold it all stable. Now it's time to glue our shelf together, and we'll start by taping the outside edges to keep any glue from seeping through to the outside. The tape also helps hold everything together when we fold up the shelf after. To give the piece some more structure, we also glued and nailed some scrap plywood pieces to the shelf on the inside edge, making sure that we left a couple of inches of space on both sides of the shelf as well as at the bottom where it will slide onto brackets. You could also just put 1 solid piece in here and it would do the same job. Once everything is glued, you can fold it all up and clamp it together to dry.
Then, since we were building 3 shelves, we did this process 2 more times. Once the glue was set, we sanded down all sides of each of our shelves. You can stain or paint these shelves in whatever color you like. We chose to do ours with flagstone. We actually did 2 coats of this stain to get it nice and dark. And finally, we sprayed them with a couple coats of polyacrylic to protect and seal them. At the beginning, we asked you to keep a couple of extra inches of shelf space on each side, and the reason is that most walls are not perfectly square. You can build a simple template like this with scrap wood. We just use small pieces of pine at the back and at the front and at the sides and stretch them out so that they hit the wall. Wherever it meets the wall is where you want to nail them together so you have a really accurate depiction of how wide your shelf needs to be. Now we use that as a template on our actual shelf to tell us where to cut, because more than likely this won't be a perfect 90-degree cut into the wall. We wrapped some tape around the sides for 2 reasons. 1, it allows us to draw some pencil marks on without marking up the shelf, and 2, having the tape down eliminates tear out in the wood when we're sawing off a small part at the end. Now you can put your template in place, draw the new lines, and saw off the excess wood to get a perfect fit. Finally, we have to actually install these shelves, and to do that you first have to decide where you want them to hang and then use a pencil and a level to mark those lines, both on the back wall and on the 2 side walls. Next, use a stud finder to find your studs. We had actually planned to put shelves in here, and so we had put a couple extra studs in this wall because we knew it would be holding the floating shelves. Once you have all of those spots marked, you can put up your brackets. Our brackets are just wooden pieces of pine the same width as our plywood board that we used earlier to make the shelves. And here we're just going to screw these brackets straight into the studs on the wall. When everything is attached and level, your shelves should slide on easily. Here's how the finished shelves looked in our bathroom. So happy with how they turned out and how they brought some warmth into this space. With just some plywood and scrap wood, it's a fairly affordable project, and if you have the right tools, it's pretty easy to make these guys too. If you haven't seen this full bathroom renovation, we built an ensuite from nothing. I will link that video up top so you can see how we turned a corner of a room into a bathroom.
What do you guys think of that tutorial? I know I love how these shelves came out. I love the finished look, and we're really happy with the extra storage in this space too.
100%. Yeah, it gave it a really custom look, and it also tied in some of the other features that we had in our bathroom. And yeah, they're sturdy too. Like you can pile more on there than they can probably fit for weight.
And a really affordable DIY
Yeah,
too. If you have scrap wood, just use that, get some shelves up.
You could even do it with MDF and paint if you wanted to too.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments. And as always, hit the bell so you don't miss out on future DIY and home renovation videos.
Thanks for watching.